So now you've seen how fast the attack offense can get into ball screen action, how fast it can get into drive action. Can it get into away screen action just as fast? Of course it can. And you've seen how it can seamlessly flow into the half court into ball screen action or into drive action. So absolutely it can do the same with away screen action. For us, I consider an away screen any screen away from the ball. Now that could be a bunch of different screens, which I'll go over later in the video, but an away screen for us is simply any screen set away from the basketball. Now, if you watch the other videos, you know that ball screen action, Dave Paulson is somebody I studied a lot for that ball screen action. Dribble drive, Vance Wahlberg. For the away screen action, I did a lot of research, and I'll be honest, I didn't really like a lot of what I saw. It didn't really fit what I was looking for. So the main concept that I came up with was always one high and one low in our screening action. What that does is allows us to put pressure on the defense, to always attack the defense. We want that attack mentality, and that one high, one low does that. It forces pressure on the defense at all times, and it keeps us in attack mode at all times. Now, it's not going to be perfect at all times, but the mentality helps us keep pressure on the defense even when we're in our away screen action. Because whenever we get an advantage, we want to keep that advantage in our offense. And that's what the one high, one low concept allows us to do. Okay, so let me show you what I mean by one high, one low concept. So high means anything away from the basket, or high away from the basket. Low means towards the basket. So let's say our screener comes over and our cutter curls this. They're going low, screener would pop. Cutter goes back door because they're overplaying this, screener pops. Flare screen comes in, the cutter obviously can go to the basket and the screener will pop. Even if the cutter slides this way, they're still low and towards the basket, so the screener would pop in that situation. So it's always one high, one low. Now let's say the cutter is going to go high, whether it's a straight cut or they pop off of this. If they go high, the screener goes low, and we're looking to put pressure on the defense that way. And you can see when you go one high, one low at all times, you can either get set up in a two-man game, and you know from the other videos how much we like the two-man game. It can open up gaps. There's just so much offense that can come off that if you continue to put pressure on the defense with the one high, one low concept. Now, if it's a double screen, and we call it a stagger, and I'll get into that, but if it's a double screen, then what we do, instead of reading this, these two actually read each other. So this screener reads the first screener. So as this cutter comes off of here, if this screener goes low, this screener pops high. If this screener pops, then this screener goes low. And that's how we get to our one high, one low action off of a double screen. And what you'll find with the one high, one low concept is it actually fixes bad reads because it maintains pressure on the defense. It can fix poor screening techniques. So even if you're not a great screening team or your technique isn't great, it can fix that because it's going to keep pressure on the defense with a one high, one low. And you're not going to be perfect all the time. That's why the one high, one low concept actually allows you as a coach to continue to emphasize putting pressure on the defense. Because the worst thing you can do is when your team is screening and they both stay up high, and they're basically just switching that. It's so easy to defend. So we want to continue to put pressure on the defense. That one high, one low concept. Again, no matter if you're a good screening team or not a good screening team, that one high, one low concept will continually put pressure on the defense with that action. The first teaching point for us is I talk about being wider rather than higher when setting a screen. We want to expand ourselves as we set that screen because basically we want to be an obstruction. We want you to have to go around it. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to headhunt. You don't have to hit somebody. You basically just need to be an obstruction. And I get it. There's a lot of teams that really, really practice screening, and they're great screening teams, and that makes them really, really effective. And obviously, if you can headhunt and actually hit somebody, then yeah, it's going to open up your offense and you're going to get somebody wide open. But not every team is a good screening team, but that doesn't mean that it can't be an effective screening team. And that's why we talk about being wider rather than higher and being an obstruction. I'm going to show you videos right here that show that basically even when we're not really screening anybody or being poor screeners, that just by being an obstruction can get you open looks in your offense. You'll see we'll run down here and we won't set a screen. We'll basically just get in the way. But that's enough for us to get our shot off. Same thing's going to happen on this one. We just run down. We're not really looking to set the screen, but we get in the way. We get our shot off. And then here we literally don't screen anybody, don't hit anybody on this back screen. But because of the action, we still get an open look. Now the reads are probably pretty much what everybody teaches. And the reads make the game easier. So if you can teach the reads, and your players can understand the reads, it'll make the game easier. And what I'm going to get into after this is I'm going to show you, because a lot of players don't understand the reads or never understand the reads, that actually the action that we do, the one high, one low, can overcome poor reads. But for now, let me show you the reads and why it makes the game so much easier. So if we're setting this screen and the defender is going under, then it's either a pop or a straight cut. But either way, we're creating space for a closeout. So what do we want to do to a closeout? We want to attack the closeout. So it's either going to be a shot here when the ball comes over, or as they close out, we're going to drive right by that closeout. If we're setting this screen and this defender wants to stop this cutter from coming off it, so they either jump this, they hedge this in some way. Now we want to go back door against it. You'll see the defense hedge over top of this screen. Cutter reads it, goes back door, layup. If the defense is switching, then you want to screen your own man, because when you screen your own man, you're basically taking up two people and letting your teammate get wide open for the shot. Here's a late game situation. We know in late game situations, teams love to switch. So when we screen the first time, we know they're going to switch. So we just simply rescreen our own man, get a wide open look, ball game. And if they're chasing this screen or playing what we call tag around it, then we want to curl it and go that way with it. And not all the time when you set away screens is the away screen going to get the bucket for you. The away screen might lead to offense. It might open up gaps in the defense that leads to offense. We're going to come down here. Our first screen, we're going to get a tag action. So we curl it, great read. Then we're going to get in a flare screen action. They go under, another great read to pop. And the whole time it opens up gaps for this nice drive. So you can see understanding the reads can make the game a lot easier for your players. But what happens when your team doesn't understand the reads or makes a wrong read? Now what do you do? Well, I believe that the action is greater than the read. And I'm going to show you why that's a huge teaching point for us, because I want our players to always understand they can fix anything, no matter if they get the read right or wrong, no matter if the defense tricks us or makes a great defensive play. I want our players to be confident and know that they can fix any kind of bad read or any kind of thing that the defense throws at them. And I'm going to show you something simple here so that way you can understand why the action is greater than the read. A lot of teams on the backside, balls here, a lot of teams on the backside do what we call interchange, right? Interchange doesn't screen anybody, doesn't hit anybody. So why does an interchange work? Why do teams interchange? It's because they're occupying the defense on the backside. It's simply an action. Interchange is simply an action. And it might confuse the defense where they lose track of who their man is. So saying that the action is greater than the read is simply that, is understanding that any kind of action that you run, if you run it, it keeps pressure on the defense at all times. And some people run what we call false action. I'm not a big fan of false action. If I'm going to run an action, I want to run an action because we're looking to score, whether it's on the ball side or on the back side. If we're doing something, we're looking to attack and score off of it. But that's the concept even behind false action, is you can occupy the defense on the back side with your actions. And that's why I believe actions are greater than reads. So I'm going to show you a video clip where a player comes in to screen. And because this screener is going over, this player should curl it. They don't. They come up here and they catch it here, but they fix it because the defender is still trailing from behind, and they still dribble into the curl from there, and we get a bucket from there. I can show you a lot of different ways that we can do this, but let me give you another example. Screen, and they curl even though they weren't supposed to curl. So now on the curl, ball's here, on the curl, the defender does what they're supposed to do, and they get between the ball. They get between the ball and their offensive man that they're guarding, okay? We get the one high, one low pop. Well, guess what? Great defense. They don't allow this cutter to get the ball. Well, now they're in seal position. So when we throw this over, now they're sealed for that post. We throw it right in. We still get a bucket. So even if you play good defense against us, if our players understand that they can always fix a wrong read, they can actually make your good defense make it a detriment to you defensively. So if we understand that we can fix anything, then we can attack anything, even if we make the wrong read. Now I'm going to show you two different away screens where we actually fix. We don't read the away screen properly, so we set the screen away. We come off it. They go under. This ball coming back should be a shot in the first one or a drive. Instead, they catch it. They catch it and they hold it. And this, we don't go high-low here. So once this player came up, we should have been through. And then if we go through, we have a whole side where we could play a two-man game on this side. We don't do that. What happens is they just exchange, okay? It's the worst thing you do. No pressure on the defense, but we fix it because we still see that post player and we throw it into the post player. The second time that we do this off of this player should go through again. So again, we should be able to set up a two-man game, wide open, whole side of the floor for the two-man game. We don't do that. So this time, the way that we fix it is when we throw it back here, this player actually drives. The post pops out. We talked about that in drive screen action. Post pops out. Here comes the replace. We hit the replace and score. So we still fixed it, even though in both cases we read it wrong or we ran the action wrong. Now I'm going to show you one where the two screeners and the stagger, after they set the stagger, remember we talked about one high, one low? Both of the knuckleheads run through. So they run through to the other side. Well, guess what? Them going through to the other side, them playing it wrong, it still opened up the whole side of the floor for the offense, and we get a bucket out of it. So again, the action is greater than the read. It will still open up gaps in the defense. It'll still occupy the defense. And that's why I'm a firm believer that the action is greater than the read. And here's some examples of the action occupying the defense. On this first one, the pin screen down on the right block occupies both defenders, so there's no help-to-helper rotation. Easy bucket for us. This one, the defender's so worried about the screening action, they actually forget about their own man. Wide open three. And here, even with the double screen, the stagger screen away, it occupies the defense. It allows the best driver in the lead to go one-on-one. We'll take that every time. So now let's talk about the types of away screens that we can set. First is simply an away screen. Ball's here. We screen away from the ball. That's what we've been talking about basically the whole time. That's simply any screen set away from the basketball, we consider an away screen. Notice the screener puts his hand up to let the cutter know the screen's coming, and a lot of times with defenses, they lose track of the screener, wide open shot. In this one, the cutter gets involved in secondary action, but there's still a one high, one low concept. So with that, the screener on the catch has a closeout that they can attack. Any screen that we set and pins the defender in, so any screen that we set where we're pinning the defense into the lane, we call that a pin screen. And I understand that people call this a down screen, zipper screen, a lot of different things. We simply call anything that pins the defense in a pin screen. And we can get there a lot of different ways. We can pin and then just turn and post. On this pin to post, we actually don't give it into the post, but because the post occupies the helper rotation, we end up getting an easy bucket. We could pin off of a cut, like where we've passed it over to here and we're cutting through. On this one, after the pass, we run down in on the cut, basically running right down into the defender, causes a closeout situation. What do we want to do to a closeout? We want to attack it. Here we literally run an obstruction right into the defender. Just got to be careful not moving screen, but still gets us our open shot. Cross screen is like anybody else does a cross screen. Cross screen, cross the bottom of the lane, looking for the ball that way. A back screen is the opposite of a pin screen. So a pin screen pins everybody in. A back screen is any screen that comes out from the defense. So we set this screen coming out. That's considered a back screen for us. Here's a solid back screen here, which most people think of when they see a back screen. Great back screen, easy layup. On the second one, they actually slip the back screen, and the defender is so occupied with the cutter, leaves it for a wide open three-point shot from the screener. Now, we don't run them, but I still have the terminology in for us is the UCLA screen. That's that screen where they come up the elbow and this defender comes off it. We don't really run it because of our offense. We don't call plays, but a lot of teams do run this UCLA screen, so we talk about that UCLA screen defensively. And a flare screen or a fade screen, it really depends on what your coach calls it. It can look like a pin screen, absolutely, because you're pinning somebody in. But with our flare or fade, it's because the person up top is actually the cutter here. So they're the ones that are reading this as they go. So that's why we call this a flare or fade. You're flaring or fading away from the basketball with the screen coming in against it. And our double away screens, I just shortened to one word. I call it a stagger. And in our stagger, we talked about it before. The second screener is reading the first screener. And this for us is just a fluid thing. So if this player looking to set an away screen and this player has passed the ball and wants to turn this into a double screen, a stagger, then they would just call it out, stagger, stagger, and they go right into it. And this screener reads this screener, and we go from there. And you're going to see when we run stagger how many different options we can get off of that action alone. This first one's just to show you the stagger action, one high, one low. The first screener stays, so the second screener will pop out and gets us good drive action for a layup. And stagger action can give you so many looks and opportunities. Here we come down in stagger action, leave space for the post to go to work and do their thing. Literally the very next time down the floor we run stagger again, and they're so worried about the post that now the shooter's wide open off the stagger. And then again, so many looks and opportunities. This time we throw it into the post then hits the shooter. And then we also use the terminology for the elevator screen. Now, most of the time when teams are running an elevator screen, it comes off a play. We don't run a play like this in terms of in our offense, but we do run it from an out of bounds look, so you can see the elevator screen off the out of bounds look. Now watch on this one, the elevator screeners actually get screen to screener action, one high, one low on the back side, and the low's open for a layup. So that's the away screen action in the attack offense. Again, I don't think you have to be a great screening team to be an effective screening team. Obviously, it helps if you're a great screening team, but I'm hoping that coaches, when you see this, you understand like maybe you don't have to be so perfect when it comes to screening, and just understand a lot of times the action is going to help you, and hopefully you steal that main concept that we have, that one high, one low. If you do that, no matter what screening action that you do, you're going to find that you're going to put pressure on the defense. You're going to keep pressure on the defense, so you're going to keep that advantage that you got, so you can keep attacking the defense. If you like what you saw here with the away screen action, please give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to us so you'll get any of our updates. So far, we've done ball screen action, drive action. Now we've done away screen action. Next up is cut action. So hopefully you tune in to that one too. Until then, keep attacking.